What's going on, my fellow reefers? March here, Fragbox TV. Today I'm going to talk to you about why your torch coral may be closed in your aquarium or dying, because this is a question we get a lot. Okay. Welcome back to the channel. Tia's over here, still working on her rocks. Dylan's over here gluing some corals, but today's video is not about Tia or Dylan, it's about torch corals. So a question we get a lot, I get this email a couple times a week, is why is my torch coral closed? Or why is my torch coral dying? So these are some of the most beautiful out of all the LPS corals, in my opinion. I can tell you they're highly sought after in the hobby, and they have these amazing tentacles that just add so much life and movement to the tank. You kind of get the look of an anemone with probably about the same amount of sting. So you can see here, it's stinging the shit out of this red Monty, and that was very poor design and placement on my part. This is my rock in this Red Sea Reefer. If you follow the series, me and Tia kind of share this aquarium. This left side is my job, and this much prettier side is her job, where you can see the corals are not stinging each other. This is what I wanted the Monties to do. Sidetrack of the day. You see the Monties here, the red and the purple? I wanted them to do exactly what they're doing there, how they start to kind of grow into one another. That's textbook. It looks so cool, but torch corals, way too close. Anyways, that's the sidetrack. Backtrack? What's up?
You like my rock?
Yeah, your rock's really nice. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I shit on some of your stuff, but not this. I can't argue with facts. This rock is beautiful. But back to torch corals. Why might it not be open? Number one, look at the base of your torch coral. So there's this pest. It's called a flatworm. It's a Euphyllia eating flatworm. So it'll affect torch, it'll affect hammer, and it will also affect frog spawn. So it's quite large. It's hard to miss. And just go ahead and look at it on Google. I'll show you. I'm just looking at one here on my phone. It kind of looks like that, if you can see it. It's this big ass flatworm. It lives around the base. It's really hard. It's really hard to miss. It's very easy to spot, and it can lay a bunch of eggs. Go ahead and look for that. Oh, damn, sorry. Second sidetrack of the day. Look at this porcelain crab. This is a white anemone crab that can't tell the difference between a torch coral and an anemone. So he's decided to take up residence rent-free in this cool torch coral. That's it. I promise I won't do another sidetrack again. It's hard for me because I have some form of ADHD. Anyways, dip corals before you add them to your tank. Coral RX or Revive, those are two really good options. That way you're not going to be introducing any pests. If that has been ruled out, the second most important thing I'm going to say for torch corals is flow. So you want to try and hit that sweet spot, which I'm going to say we have done in this tank here. So in order to keep them out and not retracted, you want to have not too much or not too little. So this is just, I would say, just slightly under, but I believe our Nero over here is on random mode, so it should pick up throughout the day. This is about as much movement as you want. I call it lightly dancing. So you want them to sort of like salsa or kind of merengue in the current. You don't want too much, because then they're going to be unable to open, and you don't want too little, because then they're going to get covered with bacteria, and they're going to gunk up, and that can also cause them to die or perish. And maybe that's why you're watching this video. You're struggling with torch coral, or you just really like the channel and you happen to watch every single video we put out there 7 days a week. Let's look at the next topic, magnesium. Magnesium is a really important trace element, but especially for torch, especially LPS, Euphyllia corals. We keep ours pretty elevated in this tank and in all the other aquariums. We aim for around 1500 mag, and that keeps our torches looking really happy. As you can see here, they're looking really good. They're out. You're not going to hurt anything by running it higher. So 1500 is usually our recommended level if you're trying to keep a LPS dominated tank. I can tell you from many years of experience, the corals will look good and you're not going to hurt anything. So look at magnesium, and if you want a high quality test kit, at least our preferred brand of test kit, which we use to test our own tanks here in the store, we're going with this one here, Aquaforest Magnesium Test Kit. I really like this brand. I like the test kits. That's what we use and trust. Runner up to this would be Salifert, but Salifert, they kind of changed the way you test on some of them, like the calcium one. They just revised the way you do it, and I don't really like it. So that would have been my number one years ago, and now my opinion's changed. I'm going to recommend Aquaforce. So magnesium would be the third thing you look at. Salinity, that's going to be the fourth one I recommend. Make sure your salinity is bang on. What does that mean? 1.025, 1.026, and we recommend using a refractometer. And you've heard about me talk about this in the videos. I don't know how many times. I'm getting sick of talking about it, except that I love the product so much. It's the Cybon refractometer. That's what we use and trust here in the store, and we calibrate ours with fresh water. So make sure that your salinity is actually what you think it is. If you're using a refractometer, then go ahead and calibrate it just to make sure. And if you're not, maybe you're using a salinity pen from Neptune or a hydrometer. Maybe see if you can get some reference water to make sure that what you're testing with is indeed what you think it is. The next thing I would look at is lighting. So LPS corals need about, I'm going to say 150 par, a moderate amount of lighting. On this tank we're running Radion G5 blues. I think they reach about 100%. They're running on the RMS mount, so they're about 10 inches off the water, and these are getting par of about 100 to 150. So make sure that you have them in the right amount of lighting so that they're going to be open and happy, just like you see them here. And you know that I always call corals happy, even though I don't know if they feel emotions. Maybe they do. I'm not sure. Anyways, next topic of discussion, fish. There are some fish that will eat corals, namely angelfish. So if you have any angels in the tank, personally, I don't trust any angels except one Potter's angel that I sadly killed last year, and it was one of my favorite fish, and just talking about it is going to make me get upset. So I'm going to stop talking about it. But angelfish, in my opinion, not reef safe, and if you have one in the tank, really pay attention to it and maybe picking on your torch corals. Finally, it could be dead. So people send us a lot of photos of torch. I have one here I can show you that's already sort of dead. So people will send me a photo of this and say, what's wrong with my torch coral? You can see this head over here off to the right. That head is actually dead. There's zero chance of bringing that back. Once a torch coral starts to die, it is quite a hard coral, I would say, to save. It's tricky. If it's only one or two heads and it starts to go, that's probably about it. It's kind of a tricky coral to save. So you want to avoid getting to this sort of situation where you're trying to save it by following kind of the steps that I've listed out in the video. If I've missed anything in this video and you have some comments on why a torch coral is not opening, or why it may be dying or receding, hit us up in the comments below, because I know that other reefers that are watching this also go through and read the comments. So maybe just elaborate and build upon some of the things I've said, just so we can kind of help the community and turn us all into responsible, coral loving, aquarium keeping sort of people. But I think that's it for today's video. Hit us up again if you got any questions, and if you haven't already subscribed, you know how to do that. If you like the content, if you like the channel, we're trying to do a video every single day of the week. I know it's unheard of. It's a lot of work. I love doing it, especially for you guys. That's it for this episode of Fragbox TV.